At first, it just seemed just a little bit quirky. Daily deliveries of Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and Coach piling up at a Texas mansion. The delivery drivers joked, even gave her a name, the Gucci Goddess. But behind that front door, a secret was growing, one far bigger than anyone could imagine. This wasn't any simple shopping. It was the opening move in a $109 million fraud that would rock the US Army to its core. The woman behind it all? Janet Yamanaka Mello, a trusted financial manager who lived a double life of luxury and lies. Stay with us, because the deeper you go into this story, the crazier it gets. Janet Yamanaka Mello wasn't a socialite gracing headlines or a tech tycoon reshaping industries. She was a 57-year-old civilian financial program manager working quietly at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas. Her official role? Managing youth services for the Children of Army Families programs meant to offer support, care, and community to those who served. She wore the mask of dedication, earned the trust of colleagues, and operated under the radar year after year. But behind the polished exterior, Mello was living a double life few could imagine. While military families counted on her to handle funds with integrity, she was building an empire of luxury, fueled not by success, but by theft. Authorities would later uncover that this seemingly ordinary government worker had pulled off one of the largest embezzlement schemes in Texas history. No grand titles, no flashes of arrogance, just quiet deceit, woven deep into the system she was meant to protect. As others admired her professionalism, Janet Mello was quietly siphoning away millions, setting the stage for a fraud that would leave an entire community reeling. In 2016, Mello took a step that would transform her from a trusted employee into a master fraudster. She registered a company called Child Health and Youth Lifelong Development, or CHYLD. It sounded noble, it sounded official, a quite catchy name, which gave her the perfect cover. On paperwork, CHYLD appeared to be a legitimate contractor, eligible for federal grants to support military youth programs. Behind the scenes, it was nothing more than a shell, a single bank account she alone controlled. No offices, no staff, no services, just a pipeline designed to funnel taxpayer money directly into her hands. Between December 2016 and August 2023, 7 years, she forged signatures, manufactured documents, and filed fraudulent payment requests, slipping past the few safeguards in place. Her trusted position meant fewer questions were asked. Her familiarity with the system allowed her to move unnoticed. She submitted 49 fraudulent grant applications through this non-existent organization. In total, she steered a staggering $109 million into her possession, check by check, year after year. It was a crime built not on sudden boldness, but on slow, methodical exploitation of a system built on trust. And while the money flowed endlessly into her accounts, Janet Mello's life of unimaginable luxury was only just beginning. But even the perfect crime leaves cracks, and soon the empire would start to crumble. With her stolen fortune, Janet Mello lived like royalty. She acquired 31 properties across several states, including Texas, Washington, Maryland, Colorado, and New Mexico, each property a monument to her greed. Over 80 luxury cars and vintage motorcycles, polished and gleaming under private garage lights. In a single day in 2022, she spent $923,000 on jewelry, contributing to a total of over 1,500 pieces amassed during her scheme, enough to open a boutique. And handbags like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Coach, stacked high, worth hundreds of thousands alone. Her taste for extravagance knew no bounds. On a single day, Mello dropped nearly $1 million on jewelry, as casually as one might buy groceries. Her garage housed treasures like a $239,000 Land Rover, built for rugged kings, and a 1911 Harley Davidson, a piece of living history. Ferraris, Aston Martins, Ducatis, her collection rivaled private museums, each vehicle a silent witness to a growing empire of stolen dreams. Every piece she acquired wasn't just a possession, it was a marker of how far her betrayal had reached. And yet, Mello's ambition didn't end with luxury goods. It spilled into something even larger, something far harder to hide. Mello didn't merely indulge. She constructed a real estate empire across America. Her crown jewel, a $3.1 million custom-built family compound in Maryland, sprawling across 58 acres. A double staircase foyer, a climate-controlled garage designed for her car collection, and an infinity pool stretching toward endless skies. She claimed golf course homes in Washington, serene retreats offering sweeping views of manicured greens. In Colorado, she bought a mountain ranch with fire pits and wide-open vistas, a fortress hidden among the hills. New Mexico gave her a quiet forest hideaway, an A-frame escape tucked under pines and starlight. And then came Texas, dozens of waterfront condos in Horseshoe Bay, clustered along Lake Lyndon B. Johnson, each promising sunsets over glittering water. Some properties were tucked behind layers of LLCs, creating a fog that made her holdings harder to trace. Others were bought in straight cash deals, transactions that sailed quietly past the scrutiny mortgages usually invite. Mello's strategy was simple: spread wide, stay quiet, and avoid leaving a trail that led back to her door. But as the properties grew, so did the suspicions, and soon her hidden empire would face the first cracks from within. So, how did the Gucci goddess fall? It wasn't a whistleblower. Neither it was an audit. It was her own greed. When Janet Mello filed her tax returns, something didn't add up. Her reported income painted the picture of a modest government worker. But her lifestyle, sprawling mansions, luxury cars, million-dollar jewelry sprees, told a very different story. The IRS took notice, sensing that the math behind the glitter didn't quite work. They partnered with the Army's Criminal Investigation Division to follow the money trail. As investigators pulled on the loose threads, the truth unraveled fast. Bank statements revealed a steady flow of federal grant money pouring into her personal accounts. Forged signatures surfaced on payment requests, exposing the manufactured paper trail she had carefully crafted. Every car, every handbag, every acre of land bought with stolen funds pulled the noose tighter. The deeper the agencies dug, the bigger the fraud grew. A scheme that stretched from Fort Sam Houston to luxury enclaves across the nation. For years, Mello had flown under the radar, but now the walls were closing in, and there was nowhere left to hide. And when the authorities finally made their move, Mello's empire of deception came crashing down. In March 2024, Janet Mello stood before a federal court and pleaded guilty to 5 counts of mail fraud and 5 counts of filing false tax returns. Gone was the polished facade and the illusion of legitimacy. The woman who once posed as a pillar of service was now officially labeled a criminal. By July, her fate was sealed. The court sentenced Mello to 15 years in federal prison, marking one of the harshest penalties for a financial crime in recent Texas history. The government swiftly moved to seize her sprawling portfolio: mansions, condos, land, luxury vehicles, and mountains of jewelry, all liquidated to recover the stolen millions. They seized over $18 million in cash, 31 properties, 35 vehicles, 42 motorcycles, luxury items, and a boat as part of the asset recovery efforts. Yet, even in disgrace, a stunning loophole remained. Despite orchestrating one of the most brazen thefts against military families, federal law does not allow retirement benefits to be stripped for crimes like fraud, meaning Janet Mello, now inmate rather than financial manager, might still collect a portion of her pension from behind bars. But her sentencing was just the beginning, because soon the true scale of her betrayal would come fully into focus. To truly understand the cost, you have to look beyond the numbers. The $109 million Janet Mello stole wasn't only cash, it was hope, stolen straight from the hands of military families. It could have built 5 state-of-the-art child development centers, places where the children of soldiers would have learned, played, and grown in safety. It could have meant better playgrounds, better schools, more support programs for the families who sacrificed the most. Mello did more than divert funds. She stripped away futures. Every dollar she hoarded was a classroom left unfinished, a daycare left understaffed, a program cancelled before it ever reached a child. She took dreams that were meant to be nurtured and buried them under piles of handbags and luxury cars. This was no ordinary theft from the government. It was a theft from every soldier who left home trusting their family would be cared for in their absence. It was a theft from every child who deserved better. And while the money may one day be recovered, the damage to the heart of the military community will take far longer to heal. From trusted guardian to Gucci goddess, Janet Mello's greed tore through lives she was meant to protect. A lavish life she couldn't hide, a tax form that exposed it all, and an empire built on stolen dreams, crumbling into dust. If you were in her circle, do you think you would have noticed? Would you have reported it? Or quietly partaken in the largesse? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got more true stories coming your way.